nekiyut, which is the last levels of working on our character. The Ramchal said before that, when we speak about our actions, it's easier to control our actions than it is to control our character, our midot. It's much harder, don't do this or don't do that, but to not feel that, to not experience certain feelings, emotions. This is a very complex issue, and the Ramchal explains it. And unfortunately, everything that we're talking about now are things that people are not aware about how serious it is. And as we're developing in the process of working on our character, we're coming to discuss the issue of anger. And this is one of the last, we spoke about the last 4 characters that we're going to talk about that have to do with nikiyut. And then once you reach this level, we're done the first level of what's called being a tzaddik. Anybody who does everything we've discussed till now is called a tzaddik, and that's what's expected of every person. Every person is expected to control his anger. And we'll explain it in depth, but the Ramchal brought before, he said, I'm going to talk about 4 things, 4 characters. Gaiva, which is pride, anger, jealousy, and taiva, lust. And basically these are 2 groups. Gaiva, pride, misplaced pride, self-worth that is, inflated self-worth that is not based on reality, and that is, the imagination takes over, and it has many implications and many outcomes that the Ramchal, we spoke last week about what happens and the different types and how does it affect the person. He can't learn from anybody. He's not nice to people. He thinks he's better than everybody. The next step that comes from Gaiva is anger. Okay, so Gaiva, a misplaced self-worth, leads to anger and different types of anger. We're going to talk about all the different types. Nidaber otam min hakas. The first one, the worst level of anger, and we should know from it, but hine yesh rakzan she'alav amru kol hakoes ke'ilu oved avodah zara. Okay, there's people that are a builder, a banai. There's a person that is a right. There's all kinds of different right. There's different trades. This is the person's trade, character. The trade of this person is rakzan, someone who's always upset and angry. והוא הנכעס על כל דבר שיעשו נגד רצונו. When the Ramchal wants to explain something, there's 2 ways to explain it, and that's how he explains it in these characters. Is I could explain it to you a religious way, and I could explain it to you in a common sense way. Religiously, a person who is angry about everything, a person that is an angry person, that everything gets him angry, this is called ke'ilu oved avodah zara. This is like somebody is worshiping idols. What does that mean? Obviously, there's different levels, but we're not talking about someone who says, "Oh, too bad," right? That didn't happen. That's not like your idol worshiping, but we're saying that this is at its highest level, ko'es is like idol worshiping. Vehu hanichas al kol davar she'asu neged ratzono, a person who gets angry at anything that's done against his will. ומתמלא חמה עד שכבר ליבו בל עמו ועצתו נבערה. A person, so here we found out the problem. What's the problem about anger? Basically, anger is a person decides that he is God. Everything must be how you want it, when you want it, where you want it. You're God. So we said it comes from Gaiva. Comes from this inflated pride. The next level that happens is anger. A person who's angry about everything all the time, it's horrible. He basically turned himself to God. Right? Ke'ilu oved avodah zara. A person who's angry all the time about everything is a person who turned himself into God. That's what it means, that he's like worshiping idols. He's the idol. I am God. I'm the Almighty, and everything the way I want it has to happen. If I'm God, then everything has to happen the way I want. Okay? I'm in the center of the world, and if something doesn't happen the way I want, so this is it. Everything has to be fit according to the way I like it, the way I want it. Right? והוא נכעס על כל דבר שעשו נגד רצונו, ומתמלא חמאה עד שכבר ליבו בא לימו. So, this is the problem of anger. The problem of anger is that the sechel, the intellect, the highest level of a person is the ability to have a sechel, to have an intellect, to think, to be creative. Rav Kook says anger comes from a lack of creativity. If you're creative, so you have many different possibilities. If it doesn't work this way, you can do it that way. You can do it this way. You have many different, what we call the secret to overcoming anger is a backup plan. Always have a backup plan. If it's not going to go like this, so I'll do it like that. Once you have a backup plan, you don't have anger. And this is very serious. And this is the problem is, again, the way we're supposed to serve God is with our sechel. And a person who's angry about everything and is a person who turned himself into God, and he now has no sechel. He has no intellect. There's nobody home. That's why it says, Al tartzeh Adam bishat kasa. Don't try to comfort somebody when they're angry, because you're talking sense. A person's angry. Yeah, but listen, you could do this, you could do that. They're not there. There's no, you're talking to somebody that there is zero intellect at this moment in this person. Wait till they calm down, and then maybe you can talk to them. That's why the rabbis teach us, do not try to comfort somebody when they're angry, because they're not listening to anything you have to say. Okay? And here it says something shocking. Chazal say, Lo yacha be'el zar, do not have a foreign god in you. Ezehu el zar, what is that foreign god? Yetzer hara. That's about anger. There's a god inside of you, and that's the anger. V'hineh ish kazeh kedai le'achriv olam maleh im yeh b'cholto b'yado. When a person is angry, he wishes that he could destroy the whole entire world. If he could, he would destroy the whole entire world. That's the level of anger that people get to, because it's clear to that person that he's God, right? And therefore, he really hates the world, because very fast the person comes to the conclusion that the world doesn't fit with me, because my expectations are not happening. Ki en hasechel sholet bo klal. His sechel, his intellect is not there. V'husar ta'am mamash. This is a person that has lack of any how do you say, decency. Kechol achayot hatorfot. He becomes like a wild animal. Ve'alav ne'emar toref nafsho be'apo. You are destroying your own personality, your own life with that anger. Halemanchata zev haaretz. You want to change the whole world. You want, because there's nobody else but you, because you're God. So, וכבר אין לו מניע אחר אלא כעסו ואל אשר יביאהו ילך. And a person gets angry at every small thing, and it's really it's like a level of helplessness. A person is helpless, a person is childish, and this is like the first worst level of anger, which is a person that's just angry at everything, running around miserable, making everybody miserable. That's the first level, okay? And this is connected to what it says in Pirkei Avot. The Pirkei Avot talks about the different types of anger. There's someone that's called Noach lichos v'kashe leratzot. It's a person that it's so easy to get him angry, and it's so hard to get him to forgive. There are people like that, unfortunately, that have very bad character. It comes from an outlook on life. I read a beautiful statement, a beautiful teaching. That's one of the things I try to learn many times, to remind myself this important teaching. And to me, it's one of my most powerful things I've ever learned in my life. And I repeat it to myself over and over, based on Rav Kook, based on the Gemara that says that a person who a person who breaks vessels, cups, plates, breaks things when he's angry, or a person who tears things when he's angry, or a person who throws away his money when he's angry, in other words, goes to very expensive court cases. Like I told you, my father-in-law is a lawyer, and he became a lawyer, and his first case that the first case that he got to deal with in court was a woman who was getting a divorce. And she said to him the following words: I don't care how much it costs, and I don't care what the outcome is. I just want you to make him suffer. And my father-in-law said, thank you, I don't want this case, and I will never be a lawyer that has anything to do with divorce ever again in my life. And he didn't do it. But unfortunately, this is anger. I don't care how much money it costs. I don't care what the outcome is going to come. I just want that person to suffer. And people spend millions and millions and years, and all this money could go to the children, could go to do good things. It's going just to fight. All right? So this is something. So the Gemara says that a person that breaks things when he's angry, breaks things, tears his clothes. Rav Kook has a whole teaching about this where he says breaking things is for something that happened now. What happened now, I'm so upset, I'm breaking something. Something happened in the past, tearing your clothes. That's why there's a mitzvah to tear your clothes and someone dies. That's the healthy way to be, to feel the pain and the anger. And then there's the future. I'm going to throw my money away for the future of something that, will happen in the future. But the Rav Kook has an amazing understanding about this Gemara. And he says like this. He says, when something bad happens to you, it's not the thing that happens that's the bad thing. You're walking down, you bumped your toe. You bumped your head. Ow, that hurts. But the thing that happens to you is not the problem. He says every single time something bad happens to you, there's 3 thoughts that automatically go into your head.
What had happened?
Like a snake. Snake bites you. The bite is not the dangerous thing. The dangerous thing is the venom, the poison that goes through your blood to your brain and kills you. So it's not the actual thing that happened. It's the thoughts that go into your head when something bad happens. What are the 3 thoughts? God hates me. This is happening just randomly. And nothing good will come out of this. Every bad thing that happens to you, 3 automatic thoughts pop into your head. And therefore, there's a halacha. People don't notice. In the Shulchan Aruch, there's a halacha. That when something bad happens to you, le'olam yargil adam leshono lomar. You must teach your tongue to say, Kol man de'avid rachmana letav avid. Or short, for everything that happens is from God and happens for good. Or a short version, hakol letova. You bump your head, hakol letova. You lost your wallet, hakol letova. Any bad thing that happens. First, instead of some people use the S word, some people use the F word, you have to use the H word. Hakol letova. This must become your automatic. I used to tell my kids all the time, anything happens, hakol letova, hakol letova. Something bad happened. First of all, say hakol letova. I lost this, I forgot that I did it. First of all, hakol letova. Then you could deal with the next issue. So when something bad happens to you, there's 3. You have to counteract. You need the what's it called when you have poison? You have to take the antidote. The antidote to those 3 thoughts is you have to tell yourself: number 1, hakol letova. Number 2, Tov Hashem lakol ve'achamav al kol ma'asav. Hashem loves me. Hashem is compassionate on me. Hashem cares about me. There's nothing that Hashem loves more than, no one that Hashem loves more than me. And number 3, this is guided by Hashem. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I know this is not happening random. It doesn't matter how difficult the situation is, how bad it is, or what's happening. Hakol letova. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it's all for good. Something good will come out of it. This is guided by Hashem, and Hashem has unconditional and incredible love for me, the way a father loves a child, the way a mother loves a child. That's important. Those are the 3 things. So let's keep going. So we said that's the first person. The first person is Noach lichos v'kasher leratzot. It's easy to get angry and hard to appease. There's no intellect there, right? It's just he wants to destroy the world, and this is just the reality. This is to understand the essence of anger. And there is no entrance to any sechel, to any intellect. Okay? Second one. V'yesh ka'asan rachok mizeh. There's another one. Far from the first guy who was angry all the time. Shelo kol davar asher yaviu shelo kirtzono. Not for everything that happens against his will, he loses it. Im katan im yivar apo. Ach behagi'o lehargish. But when it comes to it, irgaz v'yichas kas gadol. This person doesn't get angry all the time, but when he does get angry, kashe lichos v'kashe leratzot. Second one, in other words, it happens rarely, but when it happens, ooh. So the second one also gets angry, but it happens rarely, right? Is kashe leratzot, so it's kashe lichos, right? It's not, he doesn't get angry all the time, but it's still hard to comfort him, and it's still bad. וגם זה רע ודאי. כי כבר יכולה לצאת הקלה רבה מתחת ידו בזמן הכעס, ואחרי כן לא יוכל לתקן אשר יפתור. So, this person also, and he does like what we see with, what's his name? With Achashverosh. He was angry, he killed his wife, and then he calmed down, and he says, what did I do? Oh my gosh, am I crazy? There was nobody home. When a person's angry, he is drunk. He's not in control of it. He's still responsible for his actions, but he's not in control of his actions. Right? So we understand, first of all, the definition. The problem in anger is what we call siluk hasechet. That they're, right? Sometimes you need to be strong. A soldier has to go and fight and attack, right? That's not anger. Right? Sometimes you got to put someone in their place. You got to tell them you did something wrong, but you got to do it always with your sechel, your intellect is there.
Rav Kahana used to say, Shemesh moach lifnei koach.
Exactly. But here we're saying something else. You said Rav Kahana said you have to use the moach lifnei koach, but here we're saying we use the moach ima koach. While you're angry, you still have to have your
Right, but I'm saying,
you still have to have, for sure.
And then
there's a story of
can't use your moach. Then the second
I forgot which rabbi it was, but there's a story of some rabbi. In one of the books, he writes a story about a guy that they used to go to work for 15, 20 years. People used to go to support their families. They used to leave. Like I know people do that today from different countries. They come to Israel for many, many years. They leave their wife, their children. They go for many years. There's a lot of foreign workers here, unfortunately, that they leave their families and they work. It used to be very common in the Jewish world. So this one guy, he left, comes back 20 years later, 15 years later, and he comes to his house and he hears his wife kissing a man. He pulls out his sword and he's ready to run into the house. Don't give away the secrets. And he pulls out the sword and then he says, wait. I was taught from my father or my rabbi, never act on impulse. Always sleep on it and then decide what to do in the morning. So I put away my sword and I went to sleep, woke up in the morning, I knocked on the door. And this young man opens the door. Who are you? The son. He didn't know his wife was pregnant when he left, and now he's a grown man. So you see, that advice was very good. So v'yesh now, so that's obviously that's the biggest problem. V'yesh kasam pachot mizeh, the third level of anger. Shelo yichas al nekala, right? The person gets very rare is he angry. Afilu sheyagia lekas yakaso kas katan. Even when he does get angry, it's a very relaxed, small anger. V'lo yasur midarkei hasechel achodenu yishmor evrato. So the next person we're going less like a lower level, but it's also a problem. It's rare that the person gets angry, and when he's angry, it's a very small anger. It doesn't turn over the world, right? Like in other words, sechel and anger are they're there together, but the anger does control his sechel for a little bit, and he has a small anger. So again, it's not perfect yet, but it's another type, another level. We have to understand the many different levels of anger that we need to be aware of. This is rare, and okay, af gam zot ודאי שלא הגיע לנקי. He's not נקי. כי אפילו זהיר איננו עדיין, כי אם שהכעס עושה בו רושם לא יצא מיכל כעסן. The anger makes like makes an indent, and he holds on to the anger. So even though, okay, he doesn't maybe react very powerfully, but he has like a grudge. He has like it makes how do you say, an impression on him. And okay, he got angry, so he's not naki. He's not even zahir because he did burst out. He did embarrass the person. He has the anger, but he's still not naki, and he's not zahir. Okay? And like we said, what does it mean to be naki that we're learning right now? It means that you're aware that things that people think, what's wrong with that? Right? Someone once said to me, no, your problem is that you don't get angry. You need to get angry. People think it's good to get angry. Right? So there's different levels. Now, ויש עוד פחות מזה. Now we're moving even to another higher level. I mean, higher that we started from the worst, and we're working down to better level. The best here, we're now at kashe lichos v'noach lirtzot. A person who's very hard to get this person angry, and it's very easy to get that person to forgive. That's a good level. We're not yet at the top of the top, but it's a good level. Kas muat v'chama zamo. How much does he get angry? Rega v'lo yoter. For 1 second, that person gets angry. That's it. דהיינו, משעה שכעס מתעורר בטבע, שגם התבונה מתעורר כנגדו. That's it. The person gets angry. The alarm, the sirens go off. Woo! Anger. He tells himself, call up the Yechidat HaSechel, the Sechel unit. Right, press the button for the troops to come. They're now friends of my son are working on an app that, like, if there's a terrorist attack, you press on the app and it tells you who the people are in the area. What if you know who's a chovesh, who each person, so that you don't end up shooting. Because people that have a army experience and a background and know what to do, they'll be the ones they'll choose who goes in and who does what in an app. So this is a very advanced level of a person that it's hard to get him angry and it's easy to get him to forgive. It's a high level, but it's not the highest. It's a high level, right? The person gets angry, the sirens go up, boom. The army unit comes in, the protection comes in, and blocks the anger right away. Okay? We have all these things in our brain. It exists, right? If something goes into your eye, boom, right away, we have all these systems built So if a bug goes into your eye, right away, like these, like you start watering, your eye starts watering. You're able to how do you say? You close your eyes a few times, and then it takes it out. We have systems like this that something's not supposed to be there. Right? You touch the hot plate, boom! Right? In a second, it goes in a thousandth of a second. It goes to your brain and tells you, like, pull it out. So this is the way it is, and so here there's a fight between I want to get angry. My sechel says don't get angry. Okay, so we controlled it. So what's the problem with this one? Tivo eno naki. Right? It's not. You're getting angry. You're controlling yourself, and you're not even expressing it, and you're able to forgive fast, but you're not naki. That's zahir. It's a nice level. It's not the level we'd like to reach. Okay. Right? This is already a nice level that hopefully we should all reach this level. This is a very nice level of it's hard for you to get angry. You're still getting angry, but you're being you're easy to appease. You're willing very fast to calm down. But it's still, that's called zahir. You're not yet naki. Okay? Thank God you reached that level. That's amazing. That's great. If you reach that level that you're controlling your anger, and you're right, being angry is a natural. It's a natural human. How do you say reaction? It's not a terrible thing, right? Every person was born with a certain level of anger. And there's researches about this, how animals have anger. There's anger. By the way, my friend told me an interesting story about Muhammad Ali. He wrote a book about his boxing. You're not going to believe this. He said, "You know why I won so much? Because I had a secret. And I'm going to tell you my secret. I would study everything about the person I'm going to fight against. Everything. And I knew the exact thing that would get him angry. And we'd stand next to each other. I would say him to that thing that I know is the thing that gets him the most angry. Now you'd think somebody angry is strong, is powerful, is gonna kill you.
Shocked.
It's the opposite reaction. The person that is angry is not thinking with his intellect. He's not planning how he's going to do it. He's just out of control. He's not fighting he's not thinking. He's not thinking, I got him. It's amazing. The opposite of what you'd think. You get someone angry, that's it, you'll for sure lose. Now he's angry, he's going to no, he's just shooting on automatic, with up in the air.
Unguided missiles.
Unguided missiles. Exactly. And then you can get him. So, like we said, the anger is there. And the question is, what do we do with it? What do we do with it? And we have a way to turn this anger into positivity. How do you turn the anger into positivity? A soldier fighting enemies. What else? You're learning Torah. You're fighting it. You're fighting a war of Torah. Of course, in a kind way. And sometimes you have to be tough against yourself. You have to be angry at the anger that I have in me. Because I want to overcome it. Right? So that is very important. This is the person we said that he overcomes it, and when he's angry, it's not very angry. That's great. In other words, you are called a Zahir, right? Right? This is the Teva Adam Mitorer, a person who has its desire to get angry, overcomes it, and the anger does not stick in with you and like destroy your life, that's a person that really deserves a great, great praise. It's praiseworthy. Ve'amru Chazal, rabbis taught us, Tole eretz al blima. The God en haolam mitkayem et b'shmi shebolem pi v'shadariva. The whole world exists because of people that control their anger. The whole world exists because if think about it, if everybody was angry and nobody controlled their anger, what would happen? The world would be destroyed. So who are the people that are actually allowing the world to exist? The people who are controlling their anger. And that's why it says, Tole eretz al blima, the world exists, mishe bolem piv, who is able to control his mouth, hold back. He has a desire to hit them back, to get it back. But he doesn't. Then, right? The whole world exists because of this person that controls himself. If he lets the anger out, so he's not Zahir, but if he controls it, he is Naki. And that is the level that we're talking about. And there's the psychologists, this is very interesting, we're going to say now. Many psychologists say you have to let the anger out. You hold anger in, you just get more and more angry, and you'll end up. And by the way, that's Rav Kook has a whole theory about this, that Christianity created more violence than any other religion in the world. Why? Because of the statement, turn the other cheek. What do you mean turn the other cheek? They told these primitive, tribes, turn the other cheek. Somebody hits you, you give them the other cheek, you forgive, and you say, here, do this one. Who is able to do that? So people had no choice because they were forced to turn the other cheek. So then they waited. When can I get the chance to fight? And therefore, that statement of turn the other cheek created the most cruel wars and violence because people were waiting for that opportunity to let out the anger. Now, it's important to know that, unfortunately, I grew up with, our parents grew up with, were Baal Tshuvas, grew up, around Christian values, and unfortunately, we're all educated by these Christian values through TV and movies and everything that we watch. And I grew up, I was told, when somebody curses you, you're never allowed to hit back. If somebody, you say, sticks and stones will break my bones and words will never hurt me. According to the Sefer HaChinuch, the mitzvah Shin Lamed Chet, a person who, if somebody hits you, you're allowed to hit them back. If somebody curses you, you're allowed to hit them back. You're allowed to curse them back. The Torah doesn't command you to be a stone that has no feelings and that someone hits you and you're a punching bag. That's not a Jewish concept. So what do you teach your children? Ask me. Like the Rav Begun says, ask me, what do you teach your children? Hit back? It depends. There are kids that like to hit. So you teach them, it's okay, you can forgive him. But a kid that doesn't know how to defend himself, it's all about balance. Everything has to do with educating children and character and building your personality. It has to do with balance. So if you have a child that's just weak kid that, gets beaten on, never can fight back, so you teach him how to fight back. It's okay. When someone hits you, you can hit them back. If it's a kid that hits all the time, you tell him when someone hits you, you go and you tell the teacher. You don't hit back, and most of the time he'll hit back, and he's looking out for himself. But it all depends where he's at, and this is important. So anyway, what do we talk about? What are we saying right now about the psychologists? Psychologists say that you have to let out the anger because you hold it in. So he says, first of all, there's two reasons why this is wrong. Number one, you'll get more angry next time because you get used to angering and the anger just develops, and it's like any taiva, any desire that you feed, any negative aspect that we have, it just gets more powerful and it gets more advanced, and it's that we have a nature to develop. So if you're developing this, you're giving this desire a place, an expression, a negative expression, then you'll just do it more and more. And the person will become more and more, how do you say, tokpani? How would you say that in Hebrew, in English? More aggressive. Okay? So when you control yourself, you're actually stopping the habit. 2, the psychologists say that it bothers you. If you have anger inside and you're not expressing it, it bothers you. So here we say, they're right. It says, if you're worried about something, talk about it. Don't hold it in. And when you let it out, you feel good. But here is the difference. What we're saying according to the Torah. Why are you letting it out? Your anger. Why are you letting your anger out? Now, when the rabbis say, whoever breaks things when he's angry, tears things when he's angry, right, throws the things when he's angry, he's like an idol worshiper. What are they talking about? They're talking about the external expression of anger. They're not saying that anger doesn't have a place, and you need to. What's the purpose? Same thing we spoke about lashon hara. You're not supposed to speak bad about somebody. But if there's a purpose, if I'm talking to a friend, sharing with them something someone did to me, the purpose is for me to feel better, not for them to know bad things about that person or just exciting news and make things interesting. I'm sharing because it has a reason. What's the purpose of you letting out the anger? To solve the problem? Right? Or just to let it out? Right? Let out steam. Or is it, I'm letting it out, I'm telling you how I feel, I'm telling you what I experienced out of this thing that happened that I was not happy with. By the way, a great tool, if anybody wants a great tool, today there's these AI things called ChatGPT or whatever. It's amazing. You're very angry, you could talk to the ChatGPT, say, I hate this person, you're cruel, say everything you want to say. And then say, now, express what I'm trying to say in a gentle, kind way, talking about how I feel, and in a way where we can try and solve this problem. Suddenly you'll see all the things that you said will be, I'm feeling distance from you, I'm feeling very uncared for. It's amazing, amazing tool. I use it all the time. Okay? So if I just burst out the anger to make myself feel better and not to solve the problem, that is negative. Right? So therefore, that's something else. You say to somebody, listen, I'm really upset about you. Let's sit down and talk about it. Right? Tell me what you have to say. And that's it. We're done. This is it. That's what the Rambam writes in the Hilchot Deot. If you have a certain time, you have certain something upset you about someone, say to him. Because asur lisno, you're not allowed to hate a person. Don't hold it in and be quiet. This is the Rambam. I'm reading the words of the Rambam. There's a mitzvah for you to tell him and say to him, why you do this and this? Why did you do in this certain specific thing? Why did you go do that? Okay? Or, if you're on the level, and you can't expect this from children, but if you're on the level to erase it from your heart, really forgive and really let go, and you have to really be very aware of yourself, then that's wonderful. Let go, let it move on. Okay? But if you're not on that level, you have to tell him what's in your heart. That's what the Rabbi says, Daber elav, lo alav. Talk to him, not about him. Talk to somebody, don't talk about somebody. Or forgive them. Or go to a third person if you need to. Right? Or else, right? If I don't express it, then how's the person going to know what they're upset about? So this is very, very important. Now we're going to the last level. So again, when the psychologists say that you have to let it out, it all depends what's the goal, what's the purpose. Are you letting it out in order to fix, or are you letting it out in order to destroy? Right? So here the Ramchal is talking about a person who holds it in. It's a very high level. But if you can't hold it in, talk to him, and you'll find a way to calm down. Okay? It's very important. Now, Omnam, now we're going to the fifth level of anger. Omnam midato shel Hillel hazaken ole al kol ele. For everything we said, the highest level, we talked about Nikiyut. That's what this book, that's where the chapter we're in. So even though we're not, it doesn't have to do with anything that we're talking about of our chapters and the levels we're supposed to reach. Let's just know that there's another level that's out there. What's this level? And it's very important to know, like we we're talking about Gaiva before, it's very important to not think you're on the level that you're not on. Right? You think I'm on the level like Hillel. Somebody get me angry and I can forgive them, and you don't. You hold it in and you end up what they call in psychology passive aggressive. You're not even aware that they ask you to do something and you don't do it because you want to get them back. It's not conscious, but it's coming from a place of a lack of courage and bravery to confront the person and deal with the problem. Like we said, either let go or discuss it. So now the fifth level is Hillel Zaken. כבר לא היה מקפיד על שום דבר, ואפילו התעוררות של כעס לא נעשה בו. Even a certain awaking of anger didn't even happen with him. וזה ודאי נקי מן הכעס מכל וכל. That's a level that's like, whoo, right? Everyone knows that famous story of Hillel. You know that famous story? Please let me know. So if we'll tell it fast, there's a story of Hillel that the two guys made a bet that they could get Hillel angry on Friday. It's before Shabbos. There's tension. There's not a lot of time. It used to be very difficult to go down to the mikvah. You had to go all the way down a hill and go get ready. And he screams, Mikan Hillel, speaking in a way of disrespect. Mikan Hillel, Mikan Hillel. And he asked him, and he kept asking him questions. The whole purpose of the questions were to get him angry. Why do Chinese have eyes that are like, a little bit slanted? Why do people in Africa have feet that are a little bit, wider feet? Why do all these questions? Why do the Persians have their heads are a little bit squarer than usual? Just trying to think of ways to get, and each time he had to get him to go, get dressed, come up, sit down, ask him, come back. First thing, and they made a bet on 200 zuzim. 200 zuzim is like the salary for a whole year. So you're talking like $100,000, 300,000 shekels, let's say, a lot of money. So first, just a side note. Why would people pay so much money to get a rabbi angry? The answer is, and this is why you see today every opportunity that the media has to show rabbis who did bad things, whether with money or with women, they're searching for it. Why? Because if I could show that the rabbi did something wrong, then I'm off the hook. I could do whatever I want. Because if the rabbi, who's the holiest, holy person, if he now got angry, if he now went with the women that he shouldn't go with, if he did illegal business, what do you expect of me? I'm a simple guy. So I'm willing to pay a lot of money to show that the rabbi is bad, and then I'm free to do whatever I want. My conscience is clear. I'm a simple person. There's no expectations for me. And even though that's completely wrong, there are rabbis who fall, and unfortunately the media likes to to lose your trust in people and lose your trust in rabbis, and they're all corrupt and they're all like terrible, and it's not true. 99.9% of the rabbis are holy people that are very exalted and controlling themselves and controlling their desires and uplifting the world and connected to God, and if they do something wrong, they try to fix it, and they're holy, wonderful people. Never lose your faith in rabbis and in people. There are people who do fall, and we're on guard, and we make sure we don't, if someone really did something wrong, we don't learn their Torah, we don't learn from them, we don't read their books. Okay, it does happen, but it's not it's not majority, and it's not something that you need to learn from. And the Gemara says, if your rabbi is not like an angel, כי שפתי כהן ידברו צדק, כי מלאך השם צבאות הוא. אם רבך דומה למלאך השם צבאות, אל תלמד תורה מפיו. If your rabbi is not like an angel, don't learn Torah from him. So the student said, Rabbi, we just learned this thing, and it says your rabbi has to be an angel. Are you an angel? If he says yes, it's gaiva. If he says no, they're not going to learn by him. Right? What does he do? So he says, I try my best. That's the good answer. Okay? So Hillel is the level of not even getting angry for a second at all and controlling it. So Hillel is the level of controlling, complete control of anger. Right? Afilu dvar mitzvah, and therefore afilu dvar mitzvah. Hizhirunu zichronan v'cha shelo lichos. Now this is the real danger. Chazal tell us that when Shabbos comes, you should remind your family. Meiser, Isartem, Eravtem, Hadliku Taner. Before Shabbos, you have to remind your family members that they need to meiser the food, or else you're not going to eat. They need to make the eruv, or else you're not going to be able to leave the house. That they need to make the candles, or else you're going to sit in the dark. You won't be able to enjoy Shabbos. These are serious things. What does the Gemara say? It says that afilu, what does it say? Yomar, where does it say that? That we should say these things benichuta. When you say this, the Chazal added that when you tell your family these three important things that are very crucial, still, שלושה דברים צריך אדם לומר בתוך ביתו בערב שבת, איסרתם, right? צריך באי למימרנו בניחותא. You must say these three things in a soft and gentle way. What are the rabbis teaching us here? Is that basically Friday is a time of, there's a big, how do you say, there's pressure. There's pressure. Shabbos is coming. There's a deadline. There's a hard stop. There's a lot you need to do. You can't do it after Shabbos, in Shabbos, and you want it. You want to enjoy Shabbos. You want to have everything ready, clean. The house is clean. The food is ready, and there's a lot of pressure. And here is where the danger of the mitzvah puts on a costume, puts on the clothes of anger, gets dressed up in a mitzvah. I have to scream at my family because I need to tell them to do the mitzvah, so I have to scream at them. And everyone needs to be walking around in eggshells because I need Shabbos ready on time with all of the mitzvahs must be done. And this is where you must be extra careful. Because when it's clear to us that the anger is the Yetzer Hara, so that's easy. I know this is Yetzer Hara. Oh, shoot. I know it's a terrorist. Then I know to shoot. What happens when is it a citizen? Is it not? Like the terrorists today. They dressed like regular people. They're not walking around, the terrorists in Gaza, they're not walking around with, their guns and their Hamas headbands. They're walking like simple people. Suddenly they run. They have their little hideout with their weapons. They pull up an RPG and they shoot. This is where the danger comes. When is it bad? Is it a bad person or is it a good person? That's where it's dangerous. And therefore, if it's the Yetzer Hara, if it's anger, where I know I'm getting angry for something that makes no sense, so I can control myself. But when I'm sure that I'm doing this for a mitzvah, that's why it says tzedek, tzedek tildaf. Why twice? Why tzedek, tzedek tildaf? When you're running after something that has to do with righteousness, make sure you do it with righteousness. For example, I'm going to take some old lady across the street, so I step on everybody, I push everyone aside as I'm going to, I need to make money so I can support money for yeshiva, so I can make money from gambling and from, all kinds of illegal way or immoral ways to make money. Because it's a mitzvah. No. Tzedek, tzedek titzof. You must reach the goal of righteousness through using it in a righteous way. But when the Yetzer Hara puts on the suit of a mitzvah, ooh, I hate that person because he doesn't keep Shabbos. It's not because I have, hate and anger inside of me. It's just because I must hate evil. I must destroy, someone who's going against God. Oh, wow, you're such a holy person. Right? And that's when the danger comes. It's for Shabbos. I must scream and yell and get angry at my kids and everybody in order to tell them to do the mitzvahs for Shabbos. And the person is sure that he is the greatest person in the world. That's why the rabbis taught us you must say it in a soft, in a soft and gentle way. I know it's serious. I know it's important. Still say it in a soft and gentle way. Because the anger is getting dressed up to a righteous person. And wherever there's more of a mitzvah, that's where you got to be more careful. I'm not saying you don't tell them you did something wrong. I'm not saying that you don't put them in their place. But you got to be extra careful when you're doing it for a mitzvah. I'm doing it because of Shabbos. So they shouldn't be Machal Shabbos. Or I'm doing it so he should learn the Torah. You should be telling them what you're teaching them in order to help them go on a better path. Okay, you wanna tell someone they did something wrong. Are you able to do it in a way where you are inside? You're not angry. Inside you're in control. Amar Shlomo al tevahel b'chocha lichos. ואומר כי להבל כעס, ואמר שלושה דברים אדם ניכר. 3 things, you want to know who a person is? See how they act with kiso, kaso, bekoso. The 3 Ks. Kiso, how is he with his money? How is he with what happens when he drinks? And again, drinking, getting drunk is also what happens when a person is not there. His intellect is gone. And kaso. Does a person, that's why the rabbis also say, people talk about the mitzvah of getting drunk on Purim. It's a big question whether it's a mitzvah or not, whether you're supposed to drink a little bit or you're supposed to get completely plastered. The answer is,
what are you going to be like
what are you going to act like when you're drunk on Purim? Or just go back 1 year. How did you act? Did you break things? Did you offend people? Did you say stupid things? Then you're not a person that you should not drink. I mean, drink a little sip. Should not get drunk. Right? It depends on what comes out. Because when a person drinks, when a person is angry, when a person is dealing with money issues, it brings up the most essential and powerful aspects of his personality, and it comes out who you truly are. And so anger is really this. It's like a person is gone. Like we said, our human ability is our sechel, our ability to lead our life through intellect, through thought, through understanding. That it means to be a leader. And when your common sense is lost, and therefore this job, this work of controlling and calming our anger is a challenge that it never ends. Every time that we overcome our anger, we are strengthening our intellect. This is a decision of we are human, and we're turning what's important into what is the most important thing. So if Hillel says, okay, you know what? I have a desire to do a mikvah, but he has a desire to have his answers answered. Why is my desire more important than his desire? So I'll put my desire aside and I'll go and listen to him. In other words, it's such a high level of a person that he's able to acknowledge, yes, there's me, that I have my needs, but I'm not the only person in the world. So pride is there's only me and there's nobody else. So if there's only me and nobody else, then whatever I want, when I want it, how I want it. And I'll just end with one thing that the Rambam talks about the middle path. And the Rambam talks about the middle path. He says that there's anger as one side of the extreme, and a person who's angry, we said he calls it a mental illness. And then there's a person that called he'eder hargasha, with an ayin, a person that has a lack of feeling. So Angry person is because I want everything to happen exactly the way I want right now. A person who, the other extreme mental illness is I don't want anything to happen ever. I don't need anything. I don't care about anything. I'm just like a lack of emotion, of feeling. I'm just like a walking ghost. I have no desires for anything. That's also a mental illness. What's the middle path? The Rav Kook says that avodah zara vatranit. Avodah zara says you can't reach these levels that you're talking about of being holy, of being good. So just give up. That's avodah zara. But what is the Jewish and the holy level that we're all striving for? Rambam says, savlanut. What is savlanut? What is patience? Patience is, I want this to happen. But I understand that it's going to take time. I understand that I'm not God. I understand that I don't run the world. And it's going to take longer time. Or maybe it won't happen. But I'm going to do everything I can. I have patience. Is not vitur. Patience is not, okay, I just give up on it. I want it to happen, and I'm going to keep fighting for it. I'm going to keep working towards it. But I understand that things don't happen the way I want, when I want. So I'm going to work towards it. And when I keep trying, that's what they say, when does bitachon b'Hashem start? Where hishtadlut ends. When does trust in Hashem start? I did everything I could. It's not working. Now I let go. I say, Hashem, okay, a person's sick, and he's fighting, and he's trying, he's taking medicines, and nothing's working. Okay, so now I trust in Hashem that this is the right thing for me. I just, I'm in His hands. So that is the way we will end today, and we still have next week jealousy and taiva, and then we're done, the 12th chapter, and we become tzaddikim, and then I may make a drastic move and start next Zman learning Kuzari maybe, because after Prat we move to Klal, and that would be for me a big after 15 years of teaching Messilat Yesharim, to move to a new book about the nation. So maybe that would be for me a big exciting step forward. So I spoke to Rav Listen about it. I said maybe we should keep going through the whole book to the. He said no. I think you should move to Kuzari. That would be exciting.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you guys. It's a great honor to learn with you, and l'chaim.